Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share it with your friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. We have MR Venkatesh back with us. Welcome, MR.
Good evening and Happy New Year to you and your viewers. Wish you all
Thank
the
you.
best in 2022.
Yeah. So, what's happening, MR, in Maharashtra? Because it seems like, see, the chief minister, has become an invalid, and he's in his bed, and there's no chief minister there. What is happening? What are your predictions of what's happening in Maharashtra?
I don't know what's happening in Maharashtra. Let us be very clear. What I can see is confusion, crisis, calamity, and capital devastation. All intertwined and interlinked. But what is apparent is that the verve to actually administer a state, the ability to manage a large complex state like Maharashtra is no longer within the well-defined capacity of Uddhav Thackeray. That it seems very apparent, and I am appalled that the constitutional makers or forefathers who went into the constitution did not fancy a scenario or foresee a scenario where you could have somebody like Uddhav Thackeray worming his way into the seat of the chief minister of a very large state, and he does not, and we don't have an alternative, and we have to live with it. This is the curse or the downside of democracy and the type of democracy that we have actually conjured. That brings me back to my pet theory nowadays, and one thing that I'm not able to resist commenting upon is that we need to have all these experience factored when we think about redoing our constitution all over once again from a de novo position. And we need to find out whether this is the type of democracy we want, and this is the type of arrangement in our public affairs. Is this the right thing? So I would say that we have to factor in all these thoughts, and on a beginning of a new year, I think I would not be depressed into inaction. I would rather be I would be actually ignited into action. And these are all lessons for us. And the lesson that I learned from this fiasco of this Maha Vikas Agadi Sarkar is that we need to recalibrate our idea of democracy, our functioning of democracy, and see to that these type of fiascos don't happen.
See, actually, there was news, MRV, that the operation, the spinal operation that Uddhav had was botched up, and then they had to get in doctors from abroad, so he's actually bedridden. But isn't it funny that a state doesn't have a chief minister and they don't have anybody to replace him?
Yeah, that is the point. See, the whole point is that we had in 1984 to 87 in the state of Tamil Nadu. This is Maharashtra is 35 years behind Tamil Nadu. We had MGR in 1984, in the month of October. He was supposedly having a swelling to the size of a tennis ball in his brain. And virtually, the Japanese doctors who came in said nothing can be done, and he was paralyzed. He was flown into the hospital in America, and he was operated upon, and a kidney was transplanted. He came back virtually in I wouldn't say in a vegetable condition, but he was not the MGR that we all knew about, and yet he was the chief minister for 2 to 3 years till he died in 87. The point I'm making is that these type of physical inabilities of a particular person who is occupying the high constitutional office of a state or the center have to necessarily analyze whether they are doing justice, whether they are eligible to continue. It is a call between them and their conscience. And unfortunately, I think even the governor has to probably step in at this point in time. If all these are speculative, Meena, I wish and pray that Uddhav Thackeray should have a long and healthy life. But God forbid if he is bedridden, or as you suggested that his operation was botched up, or he's paralyzed, or he's incapacitated to act, then the governor must step in and see to that you cannot have a titular head as a chief
Exactly.
minister.
Yeah.
We can have a titular head as a governor, but we can't have we have to have a functional, healthy person as the chief minister of the state. So we need to step in, and we need to quickly see to that this type of physical disabilities are not thrust on the state, because administration is a 24 by 7 by 365 affair. It cannot be done in partial basis or in a piecemeal basis. So the state, which is a very important cog in the national wheel, should not be made to suffer. So my suggestion would be that the governor must call for the health reports of the chief minister.
Absolutely.
And as Professor Vaidyanathan would say very advisedly and sagaciously, that there is no way that private, public, or people who hold public offices can't have privacy beyond a point. Okay, the personal life you can have some privacy, but when it comes to your health, when it comes to certain of your conduct, I think there is no privacy for any public figure. So they must bear open what is the health reports, and also assure that yes, if it is a temporary one, 3-4 days, yes, everybody can suffer a flu or a fever or a cold. Anybody and everybody is entitled to a bit of rest. But if it is going to be something like what you say, that he is paralyzed and he is not able to function, my view of the matter is that it is a grave development, and the governor of the state must step in and set right, and if need be, ask for an alternative government to be formed under somebody else.
Yeah. See, yesterday was Samir Wankade's, last day of his tenure. Now, the NCB zonal chief seeks more time to submit other documents sought by the Caste Scrutiny Committee, and the next hearing scheduled on January 18, 2022. Narcotics Control Bureau Zonal Director Samir on Tuesday informed the Caste Scrutiny Committee that he does not have a caste validity certificate, which was sought by the committee. The development comes as Wankhede has been under the scanner for allegedly using a forged caste certificate to secure a job in the SC category. He, however, has sought more time to submit other documents sought by the committee. We have asked for more time to submit documents asked by the commission, and we will file a reply as well. The hearing is scheduled for January 18th, said Advocate Ramachandra Rane for Wankhede. Now, here, something, MRV, is that, see, we as public, okay, we do not care what is his past. We do not care whether he had 10 wives or 11 wives. We do not care what religion he is. We care about the way he works. And apparently, while he was in office, he was one of the best officers who nabbed over, I think, 3,000 drug peddlers and drug barons, and did a wonderful job, including arresting Arin Khan. So I don't know what this fuss is all about. We don't care about all this. Just because this Nawab Malik is making up something every day, does the government have to play to his tune? And can't the center interfere and say that this man deserves the best honor for doing his service? Or what is the message we are sending the youngsters? That don't work hard, cheat people, and you get awards. That's how Ekta Kapoor and Karan Johar got their awards, right? What did they get their awards for?
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand.
Meena, you're very angry on 1st January. So I'm sure your viewers are also equally angry. So am I. Though I'm laughing, but equally all of us are outraged. But let me tell you one thing, Meena. This caste certificate, you don't start asking somebody at the middle of the tenure or at the end of the tenure. These are all produced at the time of joining a service, and these are all done, and the quotas are very clearly fixed, the cutoffs are fixed, and you are supposed to bring in your caste quota at that point in time, not the middle of. And I don't know if this government is going to ask for a caste quota at the middle of the tenure. Does it mean that it doesn't have the caste record of Samir Wankhede in its files?
Yes.
Was he allowed to? Let us assume for a moment, let us play the devil's advocate. Let us assume that he is not of the caste that he is proclaiming to be.
Yeah.
Then how did the government admit him into a particular service?
Yeah.
something doesn't add up at all.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and this whole thing, all I can say, I'm not into let Samir fight his battle. This is a
Yeah.
personal battle, whether it's of a particular caste or a community. I think it is his personal battle, and he has to fight it out, and let him give his caste certificate. If he doesn't have it, or if he has forged it, let him undergo the punishment that he has to undergo, whatever it is. But the larger question is, why is the center silent? Now, Samir was not arresting Aryan Khan or the drug peddlers because they were all his personal enemies.
Yeah.
It was NCB is basically a central enactment. Its officers are deputed by the central government. They are in various places, including Andaman Nicobar Islands. They must be in Chennai. They are in Bombay. They are in Delhi. They are in various places, and they go after drug peddlers and others who smuggle drugs into the country, also smuggle drugs out of the country. So they do a nationalist duty, because drugs is something that will eat at the vitals of our nation, especially the youngsters fall prey to it and they can't survive it. And it's a huge amount of issues involved. And narco terror money is something that is constantly used for even by terrorists. So this is not something only relating to drugs, it is something related to narco terror also. So I'm really flabbergasted, if I'm using a very mild term, that the central government has not stood by Samir Wankhede. And I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised as to when a person is doing certain things and doing certain, taking on the biggies. And Aryan Khan, let us not underestimate the power of Aryan Khan. His father is a very big actor, controls several media personalities, has his umbilical cord linked with the Congress party, knows several financiers, has advertised for several large corporates as a model. So Shah Rukh Khan is not somebody who is another Meena or Venkatesh. He's somebody. Let us concede that. So my worry, and I'm sure many of us share this worry, is that did Samir Wankhede chew more than what he could bite? Okay, and is it something that I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So did he bite something more than what he could chew? And I'm sorry, I got the phraseology
Yeah.
wrong.
It's okay.
And did somebody else start putting pressure from center? Because these characters in Bollywood, these actors, cricketers, the corporates, the middlemen, don't have any allegiance except their allegiance is to money. And Delhi is one place where you can buy and sell anybody provided you have money. So the only worry that I have is the center buckling? Is it allowing the power of Shah Rukh Khan to play out in full measure and allowing Samir Wankhede to be sacrificed in this game? I think 2022 will answer this. But at this point in time, somehow I'm disappointed with the way center has handled Samir Wankhede. This is the long and short of it.
Yeah. Also, MR, see, Shah Rukh Khan, when both the lawyers, Amit Desai and Satish Mane could not, get him bail. Yeah. He flew to Delhi apparently with his son in disguise. So there were photographs saying that, see, people guessing that, see, the person hidden is it his son Aryan Khan. Now, see, one of the ministers in the present government, her spouse is very close to Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah.
And the first child was named by Shah Rukh Khan. Okay.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Now, see, if all these political influences are going to help, people like this who are indulging in drugs, and then a scapegoat is made out of the most righteous officer, who was wounded whenever he went to attack this dreaded mafia, the drug lords. What is the lesson that we're teaching our youngsters? I mean, today, if I'm telling my son, please speak the truth, Don't go and fight with these people. They are dangerous. Whenever you go anywhere, please be honest. Stick to principles. We are teaching our children the wrong things. What we should teach them is to be like Aryan Khan. Okay, do all the things that he is doing. You know, and you will get out of any situation if you have the right connections. It's
See,
disgusting.
it's disgusting, but it goes back 20 years ago. Not many people know. There was a rumor which has not been settled one way or the other that Rahul Gandhi himself was arrested for a wad of currency notes, approximately 200,000 US dollars in Boston airport. And Vajpayee government, in all its magnanimity, stepped in and ensured that he was bailed out pronto. Now, you and I may be fighting the Congress. You and I see Congress as our ideological adversary. But there is a section of BJP which is Latinized significantly and has more or less, the brotherly feeling for the Congress, empathizes with the Congress, and there is section of Congress which empathizes with the BJP. Please understand, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
So that Congressization of the BJP and BJPization of the Congress has been played out in full public glare for several years now.
Yeah.
Now, we may be people who may be thinking, oh, this is BJP, that is Congress. And whenever a genuine Congress supporter comes and argues with me for the Congress and against the BJP, or some BJP supporter comes and argues with me for the BJP and against the Congress, sometimes I wonder, what are these chaps barking about? After all, at some point of time, the twain does meet, and there is at a higher level a great deal of accommodation for players and people within the parties. Now Shah Rukh Khan belongs to that higher echelon of Congress, because he's seen as some sort of a Congress person. And believe me, he's also owner of the Calcutta Knight Riders. He has huge corporate interests which span several corporates, and media has got heavily invested into him. So he himself is
he's also a big friend of Rajiv Shukla.
Rajiv Shukla, and through Rajiv Shukla into BCCI, and through BCCI into BJP. So, there is a huge melting pot, this BCCI. So you can reach anybody, everybody, and you are an institution by yourself. So it is therefore important that Aryan Khan case must have been a case in point for the BJP to put it across that the days of Congress is over. But on the contrary, the way we are seeing the bail, the manner in which the bail was granted, the media attraction, and there was some sort of a national mourning by the media that Aryan Khan has been arrested, as if it is a fundamental right to do drugs and not to be caught. and that the sense of jubilation when Aryan Khan got the bail. And there were people who were now trying to say, after all, he did not possess, his friend did have it. There was nothing on his person. There was at best a gram or so. If he does drugs, what is your problem? And he had been doing drugs, so there's nothing wrong in doing drugs mildly. Once in a way, you can always enjoy. After all, it is his life. It is his youthful exuberance. People must be allowed to do these things. These type of defenses suddenly started coming in the drawing rooms everywhere. And I'm telling you that at some point of time, it's a rainbow out there. You don't know when one color ends and the next color starts. Likewise, you don't know where BJP ends, where Congress starts. So in these type of things, it is better to keep your mouth shut and watch it from a distance rather than get into it and break your nose on 1st January.
Yeah. Also, see, I was watching some very rich people living nearby. Now, they had a very late night party, youngsters, teenagers, late night party. It ended at something like 2:30. I was just watching, lot of noise, everything, dance, music, everything. When they came out, a girl could not walk. And the clothes of these girls, they just wear mini skirts and, strapless dresses. Now, one girl walks out with a boy holding her. and like her dress is almost, falling apart. And she is walking exactly like, you know, she has absolutely no sense. Now she's piled into a car and she's just folded up. I don't know what, she has taken, whether it is an intoxication, whether it's a drug, whether it's alcohol mixed with drugs. Okay. Then we see the other people also. They're not smoking cigarettes because if it's a cigarette, they're not going to pass it around. There's obviously something else being passed around. And these are all children I'm talking about, 19 years of age. And the parents may think that it is a celebration, they're watching, but they do not know the kind of event that happened to Janvi Kukreja. And it also showed that access to drugs is just a few kilometers away, because these boys and girls have contacts with certain boys and girls in the area, the neighborhood. So New Year's Eve would have been a day that they made a bonanza, and this drug money would be used later for luxury holidays. Because as we know, Samir Wankhede has also told us that these rich kids are the ones who are the drug peddlers. So if this is happening just a few houses away from mine, MR, it was New Year's Eve last night. How many houses, how many teenagers and youngsters have been consuming this? And the poor guy, Samir Wankhede, has been, not even on Sundays when you call him. I tried calling him, even Sundays he's working. Okay. And the poor guy is told that he doesn't have the right caste certificate. And the person who's speaking was also caught for drugs, his son-in-law. So what is this irony that's going on? It's terrible. See, Imran, it's not only restricted to politics. It is going down to our children. And our children, see, if, for example, a rich kid has a party, some middle-class children will also be there.
Absolutely.
Now, what the peers are doing, they will also do.
Exactly. Exactly, Mira. I have two sons, and both are, it is once upon a time you used to think that you have two girl children, then you have always the fear. But today it's all the more that you have two sons and you always fear and you want to give them the freedom. There is a huge peer pressure. There is a huge amount of debate to what extent we must allow them to enjoy their life, their privacy, their way they mingle with friends. But you don't know which friend is the sore bad apple in that group who introduces them to drugs, who takes them to alcohol, who puts them into some bad habits. And the worst part is that is there some sort of party that goes beyond normal partying, where you involve girls and where you don't know where to draw the line. And if you don't do it, you are damned. If you do it, you are doomed. That type of situation, both me and my wife constantly face. And at some point of time, we have no other choice but to pray. So what is happening in your neighborhood, what is happening in my neighborhood is putting us all into a tremendous pressure. And children don't understand that that there is the small slip between the cup and the lip, and they can at that age they can get carried away. All that it requires is one momentary weakness that can pull them down lifelong. In fact, can I take a minute to tell you about a case which I thought I would tell you. I was I'm handling currently in one of the Western countries. I don't want to name the country, but there one of our Indian citizens went and probably in a what is this, dating site or something, got hooked onto a girl, and as it turns out, the girl was not 18. She was barely 11 or 12, but physically she appeared much older. He had a relationship and is now behind bars for 20 years. And every time the parents call me as a lawyer and ask me for some help, we want to help them, but there is a limit. It's beyond our jurisdiction. And a young girl of 11 years, good, bad, ugly, I'm not into that. Whether he was cheated, whether he was mistreated, or whether he was lured, all those things apart. 20 years this poor chap has to be behind bars. He's gone in at 22, he'll come back at 42. His entire life is ruined, the parents' life is ruined. So you don't know what is going to hit you next twist and turn. So these type of things are now the biggest challenge for parenting also. So long and short of it, I'm trying to put across the point is that drugs is no longer an esoteric upper class phenomena. It is there at your backyard. Every parent needs to be vigilant. Be it a son or a daughter, all of us need to be absolutely vigilant. You don't know, the next strike could be your daughter or son. And in this, there is sexes are there is nothing called gender divide or nothing called that this sex is more prone to than the other. Young ladies are getting into this trap and they don't know where they are getting into, what is happening to their bodies. 18, 19 is not the age, and definitely not any age to do drugs. You can try anything else later on. But drugs, I don't know why youngsters are falling prey to it. And huge amount of drugs are smuggled into India. We heard in the last quarter of 2021, we had something like 3,000 kilos of drugs being caught in the Mundra port. I shudder to think how much tons have been let loose in the Indian economy, and just 3 tons being caught. Is it tip of the iceberg, or is it the one large parcel that we got it? And nobody, big arrests have not happened. No big names have been done. 3,000 kilos are not smuggled into by some unknown Johnnies. Obviously, there must be some very big people at play. Nobody has been arrested. Nothing has happened, and the system just as if they got 3 grams of some cocaine. They are just moving ahead. So again, coming back to the point, I think as parents we have got an onerous task ahead, and 2022 will be a big challenge. Drugs has become a very big problem for all of us.
See, MR, earlier at some point a year back, a person had come on my channel, and she wanted to remain anonymous, and she explained the whole thing to me about these dating sites.
Yes.
These dating sites have rooms, okay, where you can watch girls, and having sex, or sort of trying to please the people who are watching. Now, this girl didn't know about it. She was a married girl, and she was getting bored at home because her husband was very busy. So she tried getting into this dating site, and suddenly she got hooked onto it. She started meeting people, and then physically someone came to her home. And then what happened was a drug was put in her drink. And after the drug was put into her drink, something happened to her complete system, and they had a physical encounter. After that, she became more and more addicted to this site. And this site was being watched by not only top politician sons who are now, in the limelight, also top actors' sons in Kerala who are now in the limelight in Kerala movies. And what they do is they tell the girls what they need to see. And it's not only the actors' sons, but it is the actors themselves. So it's the fathers and the sons who are watching these rooms. And apparently these drugs kind of make you even more sexual. And also the fact that, see, they cannot get out of it because they are watched all the time. And they're threatened. And not only they're threatened, these drugs apparently make them different, as in they make you more masculine. And these effects are so bad that it can give you cancer.
Obviously, it will have a downside.
Yeah. So you'll notice that all of this is happening a lot in Bollywood also. If you look at a lot of the actresses, many of them have had cancer. Many of them have had sexually transmitted diseases. Many of the doctors say these top actresses come to us for sexually transmitted diseases, and they come for cures. And these are the girls who are shown as virgins who are getting married now to certain actors. So it's not MR. It's not restricted only to actors and Bollywood and all. It is seeping down to middle class. And
It is in your
young
backyard.
girls, yeah,
It is in your backyard. It is in my backyard. That's the problem. Drugs, as I said, is no longer some sort of an upper class esoteric subject that you can get a gram here or a gram there. So once that is done, and that is only available to the upper middle class or the uppermost class celebrities, it is no longer that. It is available at every place, everywhere you can get it. You just have to extend your arms and you get a cocaine here or some synthetic drugs there. So it's really frightening, really frightening.
see, and if you connect it to the case that happened in Kerala, where these these two models were killed.
Hmm.
Yes. Now these two models had gone to the hotel room at 10:30 with their friend because some VIP from the film industry had come there and they were thinking they'll get an offer in a film. Now, that film, the VIP could be some top actor's son who's also in this dating site. Okay, a room is put in Club 88, where nobody tells you who's staying in that room. Okay, so the VIP comes there, so there is a party, and at the party, these people put drugs in their drinks. So apparently, these girls were drinking beer, and drugs were put into their drinks. And after this party, they are taken to another after party,
Oh God.
which happens an hour later, which is in the room of the VIPs, which is where the abuse or whatever would have been done. Now, apparently, these girls ran away from the hotel, and they were chased by another man in an Audi, and there was a terrible crash because a motorcyclist came and they hit the tree, and all three were dead, except the driver, which is very suspicious. The driver had only a small wound on his nose. And the man who was chasing him, chasing them, is a drug peddler, very famous drug peddler. And he's been, been with models and all that. Now, my doubt is that, see, this person who is the hotel owner, which is Roy, his name is Roy, and he was caught for one day, and he was, within a day, he was given bail because he has very high contacts with police as well as politicians. So the first person he called when he was in bail was the top IPS officer who came from Trivandrum. And this hotel is used to, sort of give parties to these top IPS officers and these politicians. Now, all the CCTV camera footage was thrown into the river, into the lake, just like what happened in Mansukh Hiren's case. No blood test was done of the girls or the friend. So there was no postmortem. Okay. My suspicion is that these children, these girls, would have probably been killed even before and dumped into the cars and an accident staged. This is how I see it. But nothing has happened, no arrests, nothing. The whole thing that the man who followed them in the car has become the scapegoat. So many deaths happening in Kerala. Same sort of thing. What happened to Janvi has happened to these two young girls. And what do you see on television in Kerala? People are promoting the next Miss Kerala. Preparing more scapegoats, little girls for this kind of thing. It's so frightening for a mother or a sister or someone, watching their child, and there's no justice.
Meena, this whole thing about drugs is not limited to Kerala, Bombay, Chennai, Delhi, Ludhiana, Chandigarh. You name any of these cities in India, we are as parents, caught between the devil and the deep sea. If you don't allow your child to get exposed to life, he or she would always be, having that insecurity. If we expose them to life, it's always a problem because you don't know where they are getting exposed and what is happening. So this menace of drugs needs to be tackled. Probably it's one of the biggest challenge before Narendra Modi ji, and I'm sure he's aware about it. But as many things lie in this country, we have to only hope that he will have to take up the steps. I hope in this next Monkey Bath he starts talking about the drugs menace and how he proposes to deal with it, because India has become a major drug center, and it's not only drugs simpliciter, it is also narco terror links. The people are using drugs as laundering vehicles. I can tell it with some authority because I'm into this subject myself. People are using cryptos to buy drugs. And drug money is used to fund various terror activities. So there is huge amount of, it's a spaghetti bowl there. And we don't know who is funding whom and for what reason. Unfortunately, the law enforcing agencies are well behind the curve. Probably there are, I don't know, in this country, every plane which lands from Dubai or Singapore is a potential carrier of some drugs. And the porous border with Bangladesh, the porous border with Nepal, with Pakistan, and the type of border that we have with Sri Lanka and Maldives is all suspicious and is always prone and lends itself to such drug trafficking into India and away from India into various places also. So unless there is going to be a concerted effort and some sort of a serious action by the central government, we will see, and I'm sure it is a matter of time that many of our children, when I say many of our children, I don't mean the Aryan Khans of the world, I mean the middle class children, the sincere school going children, the children who may be aspiring to do an IIT or an IIM, may fall into this habit because of sheer pressure of peers. And once they are sucked into it, I think especially girls, it's going to be very difficult. And what you told me, Meena, that there are some drugs that enhances the sexual appetite of women very dramatically, and once that is done, there's no stopping or controlling them.
Yes.
And it's a spiraling downwards from there on. Once they take the first dose, there is no way that they can pause and seek it unless they become condemned for life. Unfortunately, this is what is the harsh truth. And unless we bring it down all in one go, I don't see how we can tackle this. It's a very serious situation. Actually, we are in a very serious situation. I'm glad on this day we have been able to discuss this particular subject in some detail. Meena, thanks to you.
Yeah. Also, see this girl I told you about, Janvi Kukreja, who was killed. Strangely, her mother, she was driving with her husband, near Juhu, when she saw two small children, two minor girls, being led by a drunken man, So she became suspicious. What she did was she stopped the car. The moment she stopped the car and when she started approaching them, the man was going to run away. Now she and her husband caught hold of the man and asked him, where is he taking them? So the children started crying and saying that, see, uncle was going to help us. We wanted to go home and we don't know. So uncle was going to help us to take us to the police station. Now, in the midst of conversation, the children, sort of trusting Nidhi, said that, see, he was also touching us inappropriately. Okay. This man was terribly drunk as well. Now, what they did was they took him to the police. They took them to the police station, and the Nirbhaya squad also came. Apparently, the Nirbhaya squad was very helpful. Then they questioned them, and the children said that they contacted the parents and brought the parents there. They were united. After questioning this man, they let him go. Can you imagine?
This is the problem with our police, because they know if they investigate further, they know that their SPs, DSPs, the commissioners, the deputy commissioners, everybody will be in that racket.
Yeah, it will be a cut.
Everybody will be in the racket. The police system is completely corroded from within. There may be a few honest officers, no doubt about it, but they are like black swan. We don't have to go any further. But this is a total syndicate out there. Police helping the politicians helping celebrities, helping drug peddlers helping influential people in the society. The senior most lawyers are also roped in. so that it should push come to a shove at some point in time, you will always have somebody to step in and get them bail. People in the highest form of judiciary also roped in. So this is a huge cartel that is functioning out there. And Bollywood may be the centrifugal force also. Like Tamil cinema could be the centrifugal force here in Chennai, could be the Kollywood in Hyderabad, and so on and so forth. There'll be several of these local movies and other things. But this is frightening, that it is no longer the riffraffs or no longer the minorities who are involved in drug peddling. It has now come to a stage that it is now seen as something that is cool, acceptable, and if it happens, so what? That side of sort of rationalization is happening within our society, that the tolerance to drug peddlers, to people who exploit youngsters, especially girls, has become so common that though we say that all this after Nirbhaya, we should not allow these things to happen. We should go after them, and we should somehow or other ensure that this is knocked out. But reality is that the system has become them. They are the system. We are the people who are outside of the system. We people who are the middle class, who are crying horse, who are worried about the nation, the youngsters, the future of these children. We are the people who are the outsiders, the outliers. They are the people who are the system. Unfortunately, they are seeming to win the race at this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also look at the way, they hide these things. For example, I think Republic did show certain things, that how they hid the drugs in the cruise. They hid it in sanitary napkins, under the shoes, under earplugs, under thing. See, so when they are so adamant, to spread drugs, and these don't think that this Aryan Khan and all are just consuming a few drugs. No, they are also a part of it. And that's what makes them dangerous. And look at the way the PR was trying to show that he was a young boy, a child. And to show even more sympathy, they were showing small children's pictures. Shah Rukh with his small kids, so giving them milk or biscuits and things like that, to say that this kid is so innocent. But it is polluting the whole society. You're talking about rich kids, but these rich kids have become the terrorists. Yes.
Dennis the Menace, we had this cartoon strip of Dennis the Menace, and now we have this rich kids the menace. But again, Meena, there's only one thing that I can say, and I can say it with some authority, that there is enough within us to fight it out. We are a nation which can definitely come out of this mess. We are a nation which can fight it out quickly, and we can do it fast. But the problem for me is that the system is corroded. And with due respects, I must say, I know that I will be stepping on very tender toes. The BJP is also complete in its congressization in these type of things. I would have expected BJP to fight it out big time. But what I see is, in the last 8 years, drugs have increased. They have reached our backyards. They are available at every twist and turn, every nooked and gully. It's available. And I see no great effort by the BJP central government to fight this menace. And that's a very sorry state of affairs.
Actually, Amit Shah has been speaking a lot about it. And he's also been saying that
speak a lot. Let us be clear. BJP leaders are fantastic in speaking. The question is about doing, about delivery.
Yeah. So here, while you are on it, MR, we also know that the IPL is infested with black money, drugs, everything. Everything that's negative is there in IPL. Yeah.
Girls, glamour, you name it, everything.
Yeah.
Every sort of thing is available.
Yeah. And also, as we expose the case about Rajiv Shukla, and Hardik Pandya and the other guy, Munaf. Now, nothing is happening about that. You have something there, concrete. You can expose the Congress. and their hand in the IPL. Now, if this Shah Rukh Khan has not met Rajesh Shukla, he would have met somebody else in the film and from the opposite party. And that is how these people get away. And that is how, this thing never ends. A little bit of drama, like, the mother will say, I'm going to, lock him in his room and he's not going to go for parties, and he's going to become a good boy. That's what is done for effect. But they are the criminals who are doing it. So moving on to the drugs case, the NCB moves the High Court for cancellation of bail granted to Nawab Malik's son-in-law. Samir Khan, son-in-law of State Cabinet Minister Nawab Malik, was arrested on January 9 last year by the NCB following the arrest of Sajnani, from whom the central agency claimed that a commercial quantity of contraband was recovered. The NCB approached the Bombay High Court seeking cancellation of the bail granted by the special court to Samir Khan. Nearly 9 months after he was arrested in connection with the drugs case, a special court granted bail to Khan last September. The special court had also granted bail to co-accused Rahila Furniturewala and Karan Sajnani. Khan was arrested on January 9th last year by the NCB following the arrest of Sajnani, from whom the central agency claimed that a commercial quantity of contraband was recovered. Khan has also sought bail last February, but it was rejected by the special court since the probe was on. In July, the NCB then filed a charge sheet, after which Khan and others filed for bail again. The NCB has said that the accused conspired to procure, sell, purchase, and transport 194.6 kilos of ganja and 6 CBD sprays. Chemical analysis reports annexed to the charge sheet stated that of the 18 samples sent for forensic probe, 8 were negative. The NCB claims that the reports showed the presence of over 85 kilos of cannabis, which is commercial quantity. The NCB has claimed that there is evidence including bank transactions and call data records. The special court granted bail to Sajnani, Khan, and Furniturewala on furnishing personal bonds of rupees 1 lakh, rupees 50,000, and rupees 40,000, respectively. The detailed order is yet to be made available. NCB, through Advocate Sriram Shirsat, filed a plea in HC on Friday, claiming that special court order was with error and therefore it be quashed and set aside.
Yes, Meena, what is your question on this?
The question is that, see, side by side, all these people who are, spreading this drug menace get away with a little bit of money, and the person who actually brings them to book, the NCB becomes helpless.
Absolutely.
Once they give all this, there is a court that says that, it's okay.
No, they get the top-notch lawyers who charge 20-25 lakhs per hearing. They are able to manipulate the media, which does an enormous PR exercise. 20 years old, 23 years old. Look, this fellow cannot even eat milk bikis, and he is being charged of drugs as if this fellow is just a toddler. This type of pressure is brought on the judges psychologically through media, through various sources also. Then there is a poor public prosecutor who gets probably 1,500 rupees per hearing, made to stand up and talk, and he's ready to compromise at any twist and go. And these are the realities, harsh realities of life. And then you come to the High Court after some time. Now, High Court will ask a very simple question. After all, this 1-year-old, what do you want me to do? Why should I cancel his bail? Let him be on bail. Let us see what happens. You file the charge sheet. Now, by the time the charge sheet is filed, it may be another 6 months away. So, in this country, crime pays, and pays very handsomely, because the system has been, as I said, the system is no longer us. The system is them. They are the system. They create the system. They are running the system. They are manipulating the system. They are able to fudge the system. They are able to manipulate the system. They are able to represent within the system. They are able to empathize, get empathy from the people who manage the system. So in these type of situation, apart from huge public pressure, we can't build anything else. And it is time that all of us join hands and demand actions. That's what you have been doing, Mina, and I'm so grateful to you, because let us not think this is idle chat or just despondency by people. We are representing the common Indian, the Bharatiya, who wants a clean Bharat for his children. It is the barest minimum that we can expect from our government to give us a clean society. We can't lock all our children in our bedrooms and allow them to grow. We have to let them go. We have to allow them to mix with the world. Young girls, young boys, they have to see what it is. They have to feel what it is. They cannot be shut in a corner of a house, and we can't allow them to be shut like that. They can't be made prisoners in their own homes. So it is incumbent, the next alternative is to give them a clean atmosphere within the society so that they can go without let or fear anywhere else within the society and roam with their friends, gather knowledge that they want to, and become good citizens. And it must be made Euro clean. When I say Euro clean, it must be spick and span. There must be nowhere we should find a menace of drugs, and it is incumbent that the government must step in, because drug menace cannot be fought by you and me. It's a huge mafia. It has spread its tentacles right through the length and breadth of administration. It has spread through judiciary, through various organs of the state. So we need to fight this menace big time.
See here, to say that the CGI Ramanna said that the media, the mainstream media, are doing a tremendous work, but he doesn't trust YouTube news and social media. If what you said is the truth, MRV, can you tell me any mainstream media which is bringing this up? Any
drugs will never be discussed by any of this mainstream media, because they know that it's difficult for them to run the mainstream media with by fighting out any drug mafia. For that matter, when has the mainstream media reported against the real estate mafia? Tell me. When have they reported against the pharma mafia? So when is it that the last time you ever saw some investigative journalism being done? And Ramana is right. Justice Ramana is absolutely right when he says that the last time investigative journalism by mainstream media happened in Bofors. The Bofors was the last one when I was in high school. Today my son is in high school, or even he has crossed it. So you understand that media is now like a cheer girl in the IPL match. They are nothing more than paid mercenaries. They just dance, they just create some hangama, and they go away. Whether it's, when I say print media or the electronic media, are losing their credibility. Of course, there may be some exceptions, one or two here and there, no doubt about it. But by and large, media has become irrelevant. Gone were the days when you used to wait for the milkman and the paperman to deliver the milk and the paper, and you started reading the paper with the filter coffee. It is now, I have literally not read a newspaper for the last 2-3 years. I'm sure many of you would not be reading papers.
We stopped.
And what is available, we all know, is pure junk. We don't know whether it's page 1 or page 3.
Yeah.
And you only want to titillate, you only want to create that sensation. You don't have any, Mina, there was a time when Kanchi Acharya's daily routine was put in the engagement column by the Hindu.
Yeah.
So one day, he was supposed to travel between point X and Y, but they had put it as if he's traveling between point X and Z in the daily engagement column. Kanchi Acharya saw that, and he said, let me travel from point X to Z. Why? Because the Hindu should not be seen to have lost its credibility. They have done a mistake, but I will ensure that they don't commit a mistake. But let me correct the mistake. I will do that. And he went from point X to Z. That was how people like Kanchi Acharya revered the Hindu. Today, the Hindu is a laughing stock. 25 years back, just 25 years back, a Hindu editorial will shake the bureaucracy. Today, nobody cares about it. You write anything, people laugh at it. At best, people watch 1 or 2 headlines, want to watch the score as to who scored how much, or just the stock prices or something, and they close the paper and throw it out. There is no debate that is generated by mainstream media. 9 o'clock news, same thing, cacophony. There is no deep discussion happening. Deep dive discussion has gone out of our psyche, collective psyche. So the point here is, Justice Sarmana is right that media is become worthless, but social media, you have to see that people like you are bringing some amount of sense into debate. We may not be doing, we have not replaced yet the mainstream media. That is why we are not at mainstream, but we are almost there. We are creating that space which has been abdicated. I would say the mainstream media has abdicated, and I'm using the words advisedly. And I'm seeing people like Meena are doing a yeoman service by stepping in. And what you will do, and I'm seeing in the next 2-3 years, you will be the mainstream media. They will be the cheerleaders. What they are supposed to be as they will be called cheerleader media. They will no longer be the mainstream media.
Okay. Moving on to PM is what Nawab Malik says is that PM Modi wants a BJP NCP alliance. This is something in 2019, he said. And then he was talking about discussing this. Why can't the BJP come in a strong way when there are so many scams happening in Maharashtra? Every day a scam. Every day they are exposed. They don't have a chief minister now. You know, somebody is in the bed and telling you what to do. So, I mean, what is happening? Why can't we have a president's rule or a governor's rule there?
See, President's Rule, Article 356, thanks to Bommai judgment, has virtually become an ornamental piece in our constitution. I think it's time that a full bench of the constitution of the Supreme Court must look into making 356 workable also in certain situations. It can't be waiting for a parliament nod, and parliament nod is never going to come unless BJP or Congress or whichever party has majority in both houses, and the type of conditions that Bommai judgment plays it on. Again, coming back to why the BJP there, but dismissal of the state government or government rule is not the only instrument available in the hands of the central government. There are several instrumentalities. And as we discussed, Article 255, 355 are all that can be used by the central government. But the fact of the matter is, Sharad Pawar came back a couple of days ago and he said the Prime Minister, no less than the Prime Minister, offered to strike a deal with NCP to form a government in Maharashtra. Now, it was for Sharad Pawar to have rejected that offer. And so, BJP is like a person waiting for either Shiv Sena to break banks or NCP to break banks. Of course, it can't do alliance with Congress in Maharashtra. So it is hoping Shiv Sena or NCP, or better still, both will join hands with BJP to form a government, and they were waiting. And you cannot then allege corruption. If you are fallen in love with these two people and hoping that one of them will marry you, you wouldn't see the downsides. So all that they are saying is that the Shiv Sena is lily-white, the NCP is lily-white, and they are waiting, and except at 9 p.m. some of these BJP spokespersons who don't understand real politics come about and try to lampoon the Mahavikas Sakadi government. But little do they realize that the BJP is waiting for an alliance with NCP, with the Shiv Sena, or both in Maharashtra. Let me tell you, in 22, this is my prognosis for the year 22. The BJP will try to fix an alliance with the DMK in Tamil Nadu. The BJP may not enter into an alliance with Mamta, but BJP will promote Mamta to see that Mamta's rise will be seen as the Congress's fall, and they will encourage a breakup of Congress, and the broken piece of Congress may try to align with Mamta. This is my prognosis for 22.
Something very similar happening in Kerala as well.
Kerala may be a different ball game.
Yeah, because they are supporting Pinarayi against Congress.
They are actually supporting Pinarayi, but the problem is the communists are hard-nosed. They may not enter into any tacit alliances. But I see alliances with Stalin, tacit alliance with Mamta, and a more robust alliance with Shiv Sena and NCP, or both, all three happening in 22. And this will be so subtle and so very below the ground, 5,000 kilometers below the ground level. So you don't know when it's happening, and it will be at tectonic levels. The plates will be changing, and you will not even notice it.
Yeah. Okay. So one question before you go, Emma, because I think we've already come to our time. True Indian says, "Sir, we don't have good teachers, great parents who do go a good role model parenting. Then from which car we expect moral values? It's better than general people don't watch media, TV, or social media at all."
No, I don't accept that we don't have good teachers. We have got excellent teachers. We do have great parents. Every middle class is doing its utmost to bring up its children. In fact, I would say that the parents themselves are a great role model. The teachers, a good majority of them are role models. But these children are falling prey because of easy money, a bit of luxury that flows in, and the easy availability of drugs. At 18, 19, 20, 21, you are not emotionally stable. The hormone flows are so high. You want to test and try everything, and there is huge peer pressure, and that is the pressure that is pushing these children to commit these excesses. It is not that they lack role models, it's that the lack of oversight or appropriate shall I say, even that is available. But what is happening is that the peer pressure is so killing that one guy says, "Oh, you don't have a girlfriend, you are nobody." And so it is in the search for this girlfriend that you end up with so many things. "Oh, you don't have a boyfriend." Come on, the young girls think that they are sterile women at the age of 19
Yeah,
if they don't have a
absolutely.
boyfriend. And that is the pressure that is built psychologically. And at 19, they don't know. The parents don't talk to them on these things. Our society is full of taboos, and we don't teach them all these things. So the children cross the Rubicon without realizing that they have crossed it. And that is what is the issue here. And easy availability, that's the killer. And once you do these things, even I don't mind if children crosses something physically, but these drugs plus physical plus so many other pressures, it's complete dynamite for the youngsters. And
Yeah,
Punjab has completely corroded. Incidentally, what has happened in Punjab some 10, 12 years back because of drugs is now
yeah.
happening in the rest of India. Now Maharashtra is facing this, and large metropolitan cities of India, be it Calcutta, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Kochi, all these are gone. These are all on the way to ruins.
Yeah. Chandrika is asking, "Sir, what do you predict for Goa? We do not want Mamta or Arvind Kejriwal to win there."
I don't know who will win Goa, but I'm sure Mamta and Kejriwal are not going to win Goa. Don't worry about that.
Emma, see, what you said is so true, but why can't we have tough, laws for drug
We have
consumption,
to.
drug, yeah.
Meena, don't get me wrong. We have the toughest laws. The narcotic, the Psychotropic Drugs Act, one of the toughest
No, but
laws.
when you say that a small amount of consumption is okay, that should not be
No,
okay.
no. The problem is what type of drugs. Again, ganja. Again, see. Then what happens is 1 gram, 2 grams. These type of things are something we need to look at. And see, the whole thing is not 1 gram or 2 gram. The whole issue is people smuggling in 3,000 kilos. That is where we are missing and it is only because of
No,
political
but here you're saying that he had only 3 grams, but when he's actually marketing so many
ah,
kilos.
exactly, that's my point, that he may be possessing 3 grams on his personal self, but he's marketing 3,000 kilos. That is the nexus. That is not done by one individual. That is a whole mafia out there. Unless we go about and catch that mafia, tackle that mafia, have a blueprint for neutralizing this mafia, we are going to face this problem. So no point in catching this 1 gram or 2 gram, in the sense that is the smaller order of small, that I wouldn't care as a systems man.
I think there's one more. Uh, sir, some decades back, commented on all these drawbacks in society, and now still the situation is the same. And which stellar figures guide us this way? My dad used to read his question and answer for insight. So,
Cho was a great personality from Tamil Nadu, and some of his words are still relevant, and I'm sure they will be relevant for several decades to come. But again, I don't know what he said about the drugs, and I have not come about it again. But my view is very simple. We are very good in framing laws, very poor in implementing laws. And unless we start uh, probably even bringing in capital punishments like awarding death penalty for people possessing or trafficking more than 1 kilo of drugs or something like that, very severe punishment, including death penalty, we are not going to solve this problem in a jiffy. And I don't think so. We are even intending to discuss this problem, much less solve this problem.
thank you, Emma, for this wonderful session. Thank you for answering some of the questions. And also, there were other topics as well. But since we were going into the drug problem, we couldn't,
I have been to several channels, but you are the only person who poses very tough questions. Your questions are not easy, and they are never leaked also. So that's the beauty about your examination.
Thank you so much. And we did
Thank
miss
you.
you. I think you went around to Dubai and all, and you were traveling, so we couldn't get hold of you. But we're glad you're back. So at least once a week, do come on our show because you clarify a lot of things for our viewers, Emma.
It should be a pleasure to be on your channel at least once in a week. But given the luxury of time, I would put it this way: once in 10 to 15 days is definitely possible. We'll try to push it once in a week.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Meena. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you and
Thank you.
good night.
Thank you.